The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Councillor Zethrak of the Vorthak Empire rose from his crystalline seat. His serpentine form towered 8 feet above the floor, scales shimmering with an iridescent purple that spoke of ancient nobility and unchallenged authority. For 3 centuries, the Vorthak had dominated the Outer Rim territories, their military might unquestioned by lesser species. Today, however, a new species sat at the council table: humans. Ambassador Sarah Chen sat, calmly in her modest chair, her small frame dwarfed by the alien dignitaries surrounding her. She wore a simple Navy uniform, no ceremonial armor or intimidating bio-enhancements like the other delegates. To Zethrak, she looked utterly insignificant. "Humans," Zethrak hissed, his forked tongue tasting the air with disdain. "Your species requests mining rights in the Kepler Nebula. This is Vorthak territory claimed by blood and conquest over 2 millennia ago." Sarah's expression remained neutral. Councillor Zethrak, according to Galactic Law 247C, any unclaimed system may be petitioned for development rights. Our surveys indicate no Vorthak presence in the Kepler Nebula. Zethrak's eyes narrowed to burning slits. He had expected deference, perhaps even fear. Instead, this tiny creature quoted law at him as if she were his equal. The other council members, the insectoid klaxons, the gaseous ethereals, the rock-like granite lords, all watched with interest. None had ever seen someone speak to Zethrak so casually. "Presence is not required for ownership, little mammal," Zethrak said, allowing his voice to drop to a menacing growl. "The strong take what they will. The weak submit or perish. This is the way of the galaxy." Sarah tilted her head slightly. "Is that a threat, Counselor?" The chamber's atmosphere grew thick with tension. Several delegates shifted nervously in their seats. Threatening another council member during session was forbidden, but Zethrak had never been known for his restraint. "It is a statement of fact," Zethrak replied, rising to his full height. His bioluminescent throat sac began to glow, a warning display that had sent entire fleets fleeing. "Your species controls barely a dozen systems. We command thousands. You have existed in space for mere decades. We have ruled for millennia. Submit your claim to Vorthak authority, and perhaps we will allow you to mine the asteroids of your own home system." Sarah stood slowly, her movement deliberate and calm. At 5'6", she barely reached Zethrak's mid-torso, yet something in her posture made the massive alien take an involuntary step back. "Councillor Zethrak," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic systems, "I believe there's been a fundamental misunderstanding about my species." She activated her personal datapad, and a holographic display materialized above the council table. Star charts filled the air, showing fleet movements and territorial boundaries. "You." See, when humans first encountered the Klaxon hives, they were engaged in a brutal civil war. We didn't conquer them. We mediated peace and offered technological advancement in exchange for friendship. The display shifted, showing medical and agricultural innovations flowing between human and Klaxon space. When the ethereals faced the quantum plague that threatened their dimensional stability, humans didn't demand tribute. We shared our research freely and helped develop the cure. Again, the display changed, illustrating joint scientific ventures. And when the Granite Lord's homeworld faced tectonic collapse, humans didn't see opportunity for exploitation. We worked for 3 years straight, asking for nothing, to help them save their civilization. Zethrak's throat sac flickered uncertainly. What is your point, mammal? Sarah's smile was small, but it carried the weight of countless stars. My point, counselor, is that you've made a critical error in judgment. You've mistaken our kindness for weakness. The holographic display shifted one final time, and Zethrak's blood ran cold. The image showed the current positions of every fleet in known space, including fleets that weren't supposed to exist. Every species in this chamber, except yours, has a mutual defense pact with humanity. The Klaxon's million-ship swarm, the Ethereal's phase-capable dreadnoughts, the Granite Lord's planet crackers, and yes, even our own vessels. Sarah's voice remained perfectly level. All of them are currently positioned at strategic points around Vorthak space. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Zethrak stared at the display, his tactical mind rapidly calculating odds he didn't like. You see, Sarah continued, humans have spent our brief time in space making friends. Real friends. The kind who answer when you call for help. The kind who remember favors and repay kindness. We learned long ago that it's much easier to build than to destroy, much more profitable to cooperate than to conquer. She deactivated the display and looked directly into Zethrak's eyes. So when you threaten humanity, you're not just threatening one small species with a dozen systems. You're threatening every species we've ever helped, every life we've ever saved, every friendship we've ever forged. Zethrak's scales had shifted from purple to a sickly yellow, a Vorthak display of fear. Around the chamber, other delegates nodded approvingly. The Klaxon representative clicked his mandibles in what humans had learned was laughter. Now, Sarah said, settling back into her chair with the satisfied air of someone who had just made her point, about those mining rights in the Kepler Nebula? The vote was unanimous, except for one abstention from a notably subdued Vorthak counselor. 3 days later, news reached the council that Counselor Zethrak had suffered a massive coronary failure upon returning to his homeworld. His physicians attributed it to stress, though none could explain why he kept muttering about tiny mammals with too many friends. The Vorthak Empire officially petitioned for a friendship treaty with humanity the following week. Ambassador Chen approved it with characteristic grace, though she made sure to include a clause about shared mining rights in the Kepler Nebula. After all, humans had learned that the best victories were the ones where everyone won, even if some had to learn that lesson the hard way.